My team and I welcome today's sentencing. Investigating detectives have been determined to bring McCartney before the courts to answer for his crimes. McCartney is a dangerous predator. He was relentless and cruel. He posed as a young girl online to groom and manipulate his victims, some as young as 4, to satisfy his own sexual perversions. We have worked tirelessly on this case with international criminal justice partners to safeguard victims and to build a robust case against this man whose offending has shocked communities around the world. Sitting in his bedroom in Uri, he began his offending as a late teenager. His offending was on an industrial scale. He had a number of devices and was operating across different time zones. His depravity knew no bounds. He has caused serious and long-lasting harm on what we estimate to be around 3,500 victims and their families. I want to thank those who have come forward today for being so incredibly brave and assisting our investigation. In May 2018, a 12-year-old girl from West Virginia, Simran Thomas, took her own life. She shot herself with a legally held handgun during online contact with McCartney. Simran pleaded for him to stop and said she would shoot herself. He simply replied, "I don't care." He then started a countdown for her to comply with his sick requests, or he would carry out his threat to send previously captured images to our contacts. It was during this countdown she shot herself. Tragically, the girl's father took his own life in the aftermath of her death.
However, this was one of the most depraved, distressing and prolific cases of child sexual abuse that we have ever seen in the Public Prosecution Service. McCartney has now been held accountable for his devastating crimes, including the manslaughter of Simran Thomas, a 12-year-old girl from the United States of America. This little girl was one of thousands of victims of McCartney's abuse around the world. He has caused immeasurable damage to children and their families. Given the scale and complexity of his offending, the PPS worked closely with the police from an early stage in their investigation. We advised on the evidence needed to build the most effective case to get justice for McCartney's victims. Tragically, Simran Thomas took her own life after McCartney pretended to be a young girl and befriended her. When he gained her trust, he then abused and threatened her online. Our dedicated team of police, prosecutors and counsel worked together to establish to the criminal standard that McCartney's actions had caused Simran's death. We believe this to be the first time an abuser has been held accountable for manslaughter where the victim and perpetrator have never met in person. The prosecution team was also able to apply the offence of blackmail, which normally concerns physical property, to the digital images McCartney was demanding. We have since been able to prosecute suspects for blackmail in other cases of catfishing. We will use the full extent of the law to hold abusers responsible for their actions.